Hello, it is I, Alex, aka Reznov Rules, and this is a tutorial on how to bring models from source games or models that you might have downloaded from garysmod.org or some other website, and how to get them into Blender. Alright, so in order to do this, you will need some programs and mod tools and add-ons, which I'll link in the description, and they are quite a chore to install. However, a very helpful thing that I found, the Valve developer community, it is very helpful in telling you how the files are, how everything's installed and everything else, and what each of the tools do. So let's get started. So first off, good, it's still recording. You're going to need the models. So I'm going to go programs 86. It should be in your Steam directory, most likely, Steam apps. And now these are game cache files. You open these using the program GCFscape. So what you do is you select open with, and then you select GCFscape as the default program to open it. So just open that up. And then then search under models. I'm going to use Counter-Strike here as an example. And then any one of these, how about characters? And there we go. That's one example. How about yeah, let's use a counter-terrorist as an example. So all these files, those are the ones you're going to need to extract into a predetermined folder that you should have made for this kind of purpose. In my case, I made one on my desktop, so I'd make a new folder here that I'd name something like a CT or something like that. Then I'd extract the files in there for them to decompile. Now, you might also want to, instead of extracting the files from one of these game cache files, you might want to perhaps decompile a model that you download from garysmod.org. So I already know where I've installed the files to and what I want to use for this example. So I'm going to go garysmod, models, the Sniper 9, Doctor Who, TARDIS, and okay. All these files. So I believe that's it. Usually there's more files that are required, but in this case I guess not. And I've already set up a folder for this, TARDIS 2. So whichever names have the exact same wait, this doesn't even have the files I need. Oh, wait. Oh, it seems I accidentally cut them rather than copied them. However, I already have them saved right here, luckily. So I'll copy these and put them back in their correct folders. Oh, one more. 2 more of these files, alright. There we go. Now, while all the file that you want to actually decompile is the MDL file right there, you will need the other files associated with it in order for it to decompile correctly most of the time. So copy these into the predetermined folder of your choice. I made one called TARDIS2, so you paste them here. Now you use MDL Decompiler, and I've already set up as a default program Half-Life 2 MDL Decompiler. Now this is I've already selected the TARDIS from TARDIS2 folder, and I've selected the TARDIS2 folder to decompile to, so none of these need to be checked, and you just extract them. Loaded model, that's what it should say. Completed dumping model, and there's the models that you need. Now, depending on what version of the MDL decompiler you might use, it might not dump the model. This is a common problem to run into, especially when decompiling the orange box models. So what you do to fix this is you open it with PSPad editor. Now, one problem that you might run into is here at IDST comma, it might instead say IDST 0. So, and if it says that, it won't decompile correctly. So all you have to do is type in comma where it says 0, then save, and then that fixes it, and you can decompile it. If it just decompiles it just like I did it right there, no matter whether it's a 0 or comma, that's also good. So now I've got the files decompiled. Yes, it is still recording. Good. God, my teeth feel weird right now. Okay, now what we want are the textures. Now if you're searching in the game cache files, you would look under materials, and if it's a model that you're using and not like a map texture, then you would go into this subfolder of materials called models. And then for whatever model you've already chosen, find the respective folder. I believe it was the player that we've selected, CT Urban, and there's all the textures and material files. Now, the VMTs, these describe the shader parameters and what textures to use. Now, for more information on what all these names mean, that's all on the Valve developer community. So now the VTF files, these are the actual textures. And I believe these textures were laser scanned from the real world, so they all look pretty good, even though it's a rather dated engine. So what you do is you'd use VTF editor to open up the VMTs and the VTF files, and you mainly need the VTF files, so you select that. The VTF editor is the default program to open them, then just double left click it, then export it to the folder of your choice. And for what types of files, BMP, JPEG, PNG, TGA, those all are good, except JPEGs will compress the image and make it all noisy and blurry, and the BMP files will remove any transparency information, so preferably use a PNG or a TGA. Alright, so in this example though, I'm not looking for the cache file, so back to the folder I was looking for. I believe it was Gary's Mod, yeah. And under the folder materials, Here we are. Wow, that's a lot of materials. Okay. So, alright, here's the main texture for the TARDIS. This includes the sides. We are supposed to now export it to the correct folder. Alright, let me search for that. Here we go. And this type of texture is the normal texture. Now what it does is it does not actually color it, but instead it warps the normals. The normals are used to determine which angle it is relative to the light source, so that way the shaders shade it correctly. So the normal texture, what it does is it changes the normal vector coordinates per pixel rather than per vertex, so that way it comes off looking more detailed. I don't think I explained that very well, but I'll show you what it does later. Oh yeah, I forgot to export that. Okay, we also need TARDIS doors. Export that. And the TARDIS doors. Oops. TARDIS doors normal. Okay, and lastly, the TARDIS windows. Alright, there we go. So now what you do is open up Blender so that you can get the start. How many minutes am I in? Okay, 12. I'm making good time. Alright, so what you will want to do is go into your user preferences, add-ons, import, export, and assuming you've copy and save the SMD tools into the correct folders for Blender. For more information on how and where to do that, Valve developer community again should help you out with that. Now you just scroll down, find it. There it is, SMD DMX tools. If it's unchecked, you check it. Now what we do is get rid of this cube and set up a light source of your choice. There we go, I've got my lighting system set up. I have a sun, and I'm using this spherical texture for the sky. Let's see what that looks like. Let me add a cube in there, or no, not cube, a sphere, just so that we can kind of see what that looks like. Let me make sure it's recording. Yes, it is. View camera. Okay. Center this a little better. Now render. Okay. There we go. That looks about right. Now, I know the highlights are very bright and the shadows are very dark, but that actually is the nature of an outdoor of a sunny day. However, your eyes are able to correct the way that the scene is lit up in a way so that it looks better. Let me change the anti-aliasing settings right now if the default ones look silly. Oh yes, and I think I'll also increase the sampling for the occlusion. Also, I'm going to lower the occlusion to a ray length of just 2, since the model won't need a very long rays to self-shadow it from the sky. How about 9 samples? Now let's see what that looks like. There we go, that looks better. And you can also see that the anti-aliasing also looks quite a bit better. Okay, now to correct another thing that you can do to make the lighting look a little better is add some atmospheric filtering. Oh wait, I already did. So let me show you what the atmospheric filtering looks like. So yeah, each tile is calculated a second time with the atmospheric filtering on top. Okay, now let me change the color for the plane, as well as the material. Let's make it a matte material. And let's make it more gray. Okay. Now, of course, you can, to get rid of this high contrast look, you can use the nodes to correct that, but I guess I'm sort of in making this tutorial under the assumption that you actually know a thing or two about how Blender works and everything. So now let's actually import the model. So import SMD, TARDIS2, TARDIS.smd, so the one that goes by the actual name of a model, in this case TARDIS, and ends with SMD, that's the one you want. And it's frozen up on me, but it should come back in a second now. There we go. And also you can see that the models are quite oversized. So what you want to do is select the bone group. Nope, that's the plane. Let me see if this is the TARDIS itself or the bone group. Nope, that seems to be the TARDIS itself, because if it were the bone group, you would see a line connecting it to the... Oh wait, yeah, that is the TARDIS itself. There's the bone group. So now what I want to do is scale it down to, I believe the number is 0.025, 0.025. There we go. That looks better, and since this has been moved away from its bone group, I'm going to change the location to 0. Okay. Now, now all we need to do is apply the textures to it, and we'll also need to change the vertex shading a bit, because as you can see here, the smooth groups are kind of messed up. So what you want to do is just select the faces individually, the ones that you want to flatten, hit the flat. I believe that the source engine models are made in 3ds Max, and in 3ds Max, rather than the shading either being smooth or flat, instead there are smooth groups in which certain polygons are smoothed together rather than them being smoothed as a whole. So yeah, you just select the polygons that you want to flatten, and you keep doing that. Now, applying the textures. Alright, so we have TARDIS.bmp. Select that. Now, as you can see, it's already unwrapped the texture for you. So now we open up the appropriate image, TARDIS. Now let's add some texture solid so that we can see how it's unwrapped. Okay, that looks good. Now we select the other ones. TARDIS windows. Oh wait, that's the doors. TARDIS doors, select. Now we open up the texture, TARDIS doors, and there we go. Those ones are unwrapped as well. Now we select, deselect those. Now select TARDIS windows. Open up TARDIS windows, and that's all the textures that we need. So now the last thing, applying the detail textures and the normals. So some source models might have a texture named something like TARDIS TARDIS Fong or TARDIS S or something like that, which would modify the specular shading, or may sound like that to that which tints the specular shading or the environment map reflections. So you would apply those using these textures, and as an example, I'm going to apply the normals to the TARDIS, and I'll also show you what the normals actually do. So I'm going to name this texture TARDIS dot normal, or not dot normal, but hyphen normal, image or movie, select that, then TARDIS normal. Okay, now it's on top of the material. However, it's changing the color though. So what you want to do is make sure it's unwrapped correctly, UV map. Now, instead of influencing the color, influence the normal. So let's see what that does. See the shading, it seems to be made a little bit more bumpy, and for that reason normals are also known as bump maps. Now, as for the material itself, such as specular level, diffuse intensity, etc., those are all just the default value. However, face textures, though, is already checked off for you quite wonderfully. So what you would do is just tweak each of the individual shader parameters until it looks right, or you could tweak it based upon what it says in the VMT files. And again, what you want to do is go to the main page and then look up what each of these things mean for the VMT files, and then based upon that you give the correct shader values. But we're not going to do that now for the sake of time. I'm going to just render it from here, see what that looks like. Alright, there we go. That looks about right. Alright, so I'm also going to just pause this tutorial and then go back and tweak each of the materials and show you what that looks like. As you can see, the specular shading is way too high. So I'm going to pause it now and do that. Alright, there we go. Now I've decided to improve the lighting a little bit and the stuff. Decided to exaggerate the amount of environment lighting as well as adding some ambient lighting to improve the shadow quality. That all looks good. And I decided to improve the materials. Better shaders for each of them, and let's see here. And I also improved the normal textures. I noticed that there were like black edges and stuff like that, which are not appropriate for normal, so I fixed that. In a program called GIMP, it's kind of similar to Photoshop. Oh yes, and also when adding a normal map, check off this box. And you might also want to make the normal intensity 2.0. And let's take a closer look at that. Alright, it all looks pretty detailed, I believe. Would you say so? I think so. Yep, so I think that's all. Hope this tutorial was helpful. By the way, that's Mirror's Edge in the background, if the microphone's picking up any of that noise.